So I got to have a little bit of grandparenting time the other day. It was a lot of fun. I don't get as many grandparenting times as I normally do. I'm hoping that someday soon we'll be able to return to that where we don't have to worry about whether or not we're getting together with the people we care about and love. But anyway, during that grandparenting time, Hadley came up to me and she had her crayons and we had a coloring book here, and she asked me if I would color with her. Well, we've colored together in the past, and what that usually meant was Hadley had her coloring book and I had my coloring page, and I would color and then she would color on her own page. But this time, evidently, what she meant when she said let's color together was that she wanted to actually color on the same page as I did. So that's what we did, and I colored part of it and Hadley colored part of it, and she added more and then I added more, and it was a lot of fun. And you know what, I'm a pretty good colorer. I got to tell you right now, I'm a pretty good colorer. She's good too, but you know, I'm really good. I mean, I've got all those years of experience on her, of course. But here's the thing. This page is so much nicer than any other page I think I've colored in my life. And that's the reason for that is because I didn't do it just on my own. I colored it in partnership with my granddaughter, and that's what made it really fun. Well, you know, as I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about that time of coloring with Hadley and creating that picture with her, I thought of this story in Genesis. Now, you probably know, or you may not know, but there are two stories of creation in Genesis. And the first one is very linear. That's the one that talks about on the first day God did this, and the second day God did that. But in Genesis chapter 2, there's a much more intimate portrayal of creation. And it's an intimate portrayal in which God and humankind are much closer together with one another during this time of creation. So I thought I'd read just a little bit of this. It comes from Genesis chapter 2, and I'm going to begin at verse 15. This is after God had started creation, and then we hear this part. The Lord God took the man, so God's already created humanity. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to till it and keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, "You are free to eat of any tree from the garden, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat of that tree. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die." But then the Lord God said to him, "It is not good for the man to be alone." And so God made a helper to be a partner with the man. And so out of the ground, the Lord God formed every kind of animal of the field, every bird of the air, and he brought them to the man to see what the man would call him. Whatever the man called that living creature, that was its name. The man gave names to all the cattle, to all the birds of the air, and to every animal of the field. But for the man there was not a helper as his partner. So the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and he slept. And he took from his rib and closed up that place with flesh. And the rib that the Lord God had taken from the man, he made into a woman and brought him to the man. And the man said, "At last this is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. This one shall be called woman, for out of man this one was taken." Now, there's a couple things that I love about that story. First of all, God looks at the one solitary human being, and God said, "It is not good for that human being to be alone. I need to create a partner for that man," because partnership is what's so important. So God tries to create partnership with the animals, but that doesn't work. And so God finally creates out of that first human the second human. And now we have man and woman. And they are in partnership with one another. They're in partnership with this creation that God has given them. And they're in partnership actually with helping God to continue with creation. You see, that's the part of that story that I really love, is that in the first story, it's a wonderful story. It shows the power of God, and it shows God creating and how powerful God is in that moment, that God is in all control. But in that second one, there is this intimacy in which God almost sees that human being and then those two human beings as partners in creation. That really is what I thought of as I was drawing with Hadley, as we were coloring in this coloring book. I thought about how wonderful partnership was. And I thought about how wonderful God has blessed us with the partners that we have in life, be it our children, our grandchildren, a spouse, a close friend, whoever our partner is, someone we work with. Those partners are gifts that God has given us. And sometimes I don't think we treat them as partners. Sometimes we look down upon one another. We use our own personal power over another, and we're not treating them as partners. And that's not the reason God created us to be with each other. But the other part of that is that God also created us to be in partnership with God. When God created, God wanted humanity to be involved in creation. God wanted humanity to actually help God finish creation. In fact, in the book of Romans, when Paul writes this letter to the church in Rome, he talks about how creation is groaning in labor pains at this time. I love that very vivid picture. But how creation itself groans in labor pains, awaiting the time for the fullness of creation to happen. And as Paul talks about this, he talks about it as if we are involved in what God is doing to bring creation to completion. There is partnership. We are in partners with one another as brother and sisters in this thing called humanity, but we are also partners with God. Think about that. The God who made everything has decided to partner with you and with me to finish creation. I wonder, what beauty will we add to this story of creation that began so long ago? As partners in that work, God has invited us to embrace the calling for which we are called. Enjoy the partners that God gave you. Most importantly, enjoy the partnership that God has called you to have with God. Thank you.